Hey, thanks for checking out the channel, everybody. Tobin here with you, and thanks you for listening and watching wherever you may be. If you guys could, please subscribe to the channel. That'd mean a lot to me. As it was a busy day in Dolphins land, the 53-man roster has been set, and these are the releases that they went with today. The notable ones, I think, of that you might have been surprised with or not surprised with. Here are some of the notable names. I don't want to do all of them, but Justin Bethel, he was released. Robbie Chosen, he was released. Myles Gaskin, Deshaun Hand, defensive tackle. Tyler Croft, he was released. So those were some of the notable names there, and I think the one probably most surprising, notable, Myles Gaskin, obviously longest tenured guy with the team. But really got outperformed in camp. I think if you're going to do camp as a competition and you're going to look and say, hey, this stuff matters, Savon Ahmed was, one of the best players in camp. He was probably the preseason MVP we saw last year with a guy like Skylar Thompson. That stuff matters, and that will earn something for you on this team. So, definitely the most notable name, but I think if you step back and you look at it, and I think the other part of that is Chris Brooks. Chris Brooks becomes one of the three undrafted free agents to make the team. It was him, it was Julian Hill, and it was Brandon Peely. Is that a lot of people are digging what those guys were doing all camp. Hill, especially from the tight end position, so much so that Tanner Connor, who had just come off PUP this week, he ended up getting waived. And so kind of like everybody's darling from last year, the undrafted gem, now that's on the foot. And remember, these guys, some of them can be put on the practice squad. Some of these guys will get picked up and all that type of stuff. But these were the initial moves. But Hill, I thought, looked pretty good. Pretty good. The other names that were waived, Elijah Higgins, of course, he was a draft pick. Everybody from was interested in what he was going to do. Trill Williams, of course, a name everybody familiar with, got injured last year. They did injury settlement with David Davis, and then on the PUP list, on the physically unable to perform list, is Nick Needham, and injured reserve went to Keon Cross and Eric Saubert. So those are your moves that were put around. And then, of course, you had a couple of trades, and the most notable thing probably to happen today, just for the Dolphins, putting the Jonathan Taylor thing aside, because we'll get to that in just a second. Mike McDaniel commenting on that, is Noah Igbinoghene. Noah Igbinoghene was traded to the Dallas Cowboys. And so the Dolphins' former 2020 first-round pick was traded in exchange for Dallas's own cornerback, Kelvin Joseph. And so the end of the Noah Igbinoghene era is here. It was notable. It was one we were always wondering, is he going to be active? Of course, we'll have that win over Pittsburgh. Not a bad guy. I mean, seemed like he, didn't seem like a guy who didn't work hard, but just didn't seem to ever really live up to what his physical talents were. And so this is like they're giving everybody the old change of scenery. Will Noah, the change of scenery, do him good? I saw Christian Wilkins say that today, that he hopes the change of scenery will do Noah good. But, it's you think about the one thing that I would say about this is, we're not talking about another defensive coordinator who got to look at him. And to be fair, McDaniel said today that they weren't pursuing the trade of Noah. It's not like that they were looking to dump him anywhere, but that it was something they were approached with by Dallas. They saw the talent. They probably saw and read and knew what the depth chart was going to be. And they throw this out there for him. So no more Noah Igbinoghene. He is his run as a Dolphin comes to an end, and yes, I think we can officially put him under the bust category for the Dolphins. Maybe he will flourish in Dallas, but as far as his Miami career, that did not go very swimmingly. And also, I think there was some buzz kind of coming into camp. Oh, Noah doesn't look as lost. He's picking some things up. But ultimately they decide to pull the trigger. And it will be fascinating to hear, because Chris Greer is going to address the media tomorrow, recording this Tuesday night. So he's going to address the media on Wednesday afternoon. And yeah, that's be interested to see what he has to say about that pick and it not working out. and where they go from there. Dan Feeney was traded yesterday, who was one of their backup centers. They also released some undrafted rookie who I'd never heard of, so I don't want to pretend and fake it for you guys. But Mike McDaniel did mention at his press conference today that Liam Eichenberg and Lester Cotton, who got some time at center at OTAs, they look like they are going to be the guys who are playing behind Connor Williams, who I swear to God, dude, stop snapping the ball to Tua like he's Shaquille O'Neal. Like, let's get those things on point, eh? So ultimately, I think the cool stories of this were the fact that, you know, you had your undrafted rookies who made the team. Robbie Chosen not making the team. I didn't find that to be too surprising. You know, certainly has probably the best career numbers out of a lot of these guys, but, you know, has been on a lot of different teams, has had some run-ins with dudes, changing his name a lot. Fast as hell, a little bit bigger than some of the Dolphins' other targets, but you know, I think if you were watching camp and you were watching the preseason, like, it's not super surprising that they didn't go with him. He's just a notable name. And we'll see where things go from there. The other thing that we got to know today was Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is not going to be traded. The Indianapolis Colts did not move off their high demands. And so the star running back for the Colts, that I think was the big party everybody was looking for. The Dolphins earlier today restructured Cedric Wilson's deal and so freed up a little bit more money. So a lot of people, I think, were thinking to themselves, you see this moving, a little savings there. This is all setting up for them and going to get Jonathan Taylor. Like, it did feel like that very much. But ultimately, like, look, you can't really get on the Dolphins too much for this because you are dealing with a crazy person in Jim Irsay, a dude who's talking about what's going to happen when he dies in the memory of the sport. He's a lunatic. I really feel bad for Jonathan Taylor because it seems like he is in a very uncomfortable situation. He's going to be put on the physically unable to perform list, so he's going to miss the first 4 games out of the gate anyway. And so, it sucks that he's in that position. And, you know, for the Dolphins to have to pay him and give him a big deal on top of take a headache away from the Colts, a very good player, but a very big distraction as well, and also have to give up top-notch draft capital for him, that's a bit much. And I think in today's day and age, we could talk about the guys they got to pay, the guys they got to take care of, all that stuff. But, like, if you're going to be sitting here with a guy who's got lunatic demands, then, you know, what can you do about it? You can only go to it. So I'm sure that's I'll be interested to hear what Chris has to say about that. Meg McDaniel really gave you nothing on it. He was like, I've literally spent 0 time focused on Jonathan Taylor. He says, like, when you like the guys that you have, like, you're not focused on it. Chris Greer will come to me when it's real. You know, whatever. I mean, believe it or not, from Mike McDaniel, fine. The point is, it's not happening, and it feels very much just like, hey, like, there's clearly some bad feelings on that. Like, it's not like, you know, they can say, oh, hey, go try and find the deal that you want, but it's also like a situation where the Colts, you know that they're going into a situation with a rookie quarterback. It's not ideal. You don't want to lose, you know, probably your best support piece for your young quarterback. But they're being cheapskates with them, man. They're being cheapskates. So that's a little bit crazy. Speaking of cheapskates, the man who has been probably centered around the most controversy with the Dolphins has been Christian Wilkins. And he, you know, did what I don't think is too surprising. And that is, you know, kind of focused on football, not going to make the contract a big thing. He did reveal that he did not demand a trade and is not going to demand a trade. I believe the quote, nobody wants to be a Miami Dolphin more than me. I do want to say this for the fan base, though, when it comes to Christian Wilkins, because, you know, some of the numbers had leaked. And one of the things I'll say with a Dolphin fan, because the Dolphins are really crappy when it comes to this stuff. When I remember this, when really good players come up to get paid or their time with the team is coming up, they have these obvious leak outs to try and win their battle with the media, right? And I think that stuff is lousy, a lot of the times. And I just want everybody to recall, I would say for Dolphin fans coming into training camp, 95% of Dolphin fans wanted to pay Christian Wilkins, if not higher. And then time goes on and rumors come out and you get a little uneasy because he's not doing stupid drills. And like all of a sudden people are like, whoa, the guy's not that great anyway. Bleh. And, you just get this, and then you're glamming on and you're like a mosquito sucking at the vein of any information. You take it for gospel for what it is, and you're not realizing like what it is like them trying to spin something in their direction. And look, do I think that Christian Wilkins is the best defensive tackle in the league? No. But do I think he's probably one of the top two guys on the defense? Yeah, I do. And, for the fan base or any bit of the fan base, and I'm starting to see this like turn on Christian Wilkins. First of all, let's realize a couple things here. None of us, if we weren't going and doing our job, who among us don't want to get paid what we're worth? Secondly, he didn't hold out any games and isn't holding out any games. He participated in practice today. He is not demanding a trade from the Dolphins. He is not quitting on the Miami Dolphins. All he did was state a fact, which is he feels like he has done all he has needed to do to earn a contract. And he was out of a couple of joint practices with the Texans. And what did you need? Did you need more practices for him to prove that he's better than Liam Eichenberg? I'm just curious what people needed from that. So I just want that to be clear. Remember what you felt 3 weeks ago with Christian Wilkins, 4 weeks ago when training camp started, where 95% of us all thought that he deserved to get a contract extension, and realize that not much has changed other than time, him sitting out some drills. But the negotiations probably haven't changed that much. The demands haven't changed that much. Curious to hear what Chris Greer has to say about it. But I just wish the Dolphin fan wouldn't go down this journey of taking a dump on Christian Wilkins now all of a sudden because, you think, oh, this guy, because like, the guys that they say, oh, he's in line with or whatever, it's just a funny thing, like how easily manipulated fans can be in that game sometimes. It really is to me. That being said, was super happy for his guy, Zach Sealer, who got his deal. And that was gooses galore seeing those two behemoths hug it out on the podium. So, yeah, I think that's about it, man. I think I've kind of reached on the whole cliff notes of today. And, Jaylen Waddle says he's going to be ready for week 1. So you want to talk about important stories. That's an important story. Jaylen Waddle. Whoa. You're back, buddy. Waddle, baby, waddle, baby, waddle, baby, waddle.